Hello and welcome back to my solo level 1 all honor mode bosses series. In this episode I'm going to be paying the troll toll with Garangoth, ambushing the Githyanki ambush, and more. First up on the agenda is the Shambling Mound. For the equipment I'll be using the Dark Justicia helmet, the Cloak of Protection, the Graceful Cloth, the Gloves of the Balanced Hands, the Boots of Speed, the Knife of the Undermountain King, the Amulet of Misty Step, Crusher's Ring, the Caustic Band, and a Net Emissar in my offhand. To start the fight, I attack the Shadowcutters Vine Blight. Then when they come close to investigate and the battle begins, I'm going to dash and back off to break line of sight. All of the Shadowcutters will then dash towards me, and I can now take advantage of the Needle Blight's passive ability, Needle Burst, which does between 8 to 56 damage and a 4 meter AoE when they die. Since they all end up grouped together, I toss a smoke powder bomb towards them which sets off a chain reaction, decimating their numbers. After a click heals, I backed off down the hill, but I should have put myself further to the left, around this spot here, because when they all dash towards me, the Shambling Mound is able to get close enough to me to use its adhesive whip, which has a 15 meter range. Fortunately though, it's a dex save and I passed the check, but it could have pulled me within its wretched growth range, which would have been very bad. On my turn, another smoke powder bomb sets off a second chain reaction, which leaves me with the boss and 2 Shadowcursed Harpers. But after I click heals and run further down the hill, one of the Harpers falls out of combat, leaving me in a 2v1. And then when I run further away on my next turn, the other dead Harper falls out of combat and it's just a 1v1 with me in the Shambling Mound. My goal for now is to back off towards the last light inn, trying to stay out of range of its adhesive whip, but without going too far that the battle ends. It's a thin line between both, so I opt to run no further than 25 meters away at a time. When I get close enough to the inn, I misty step up on top of the roof and move towards the center to pull the Shambling Mound closer. Then when it comes in close enough, I hide and move towards the edge of the inn's roof. From here, it's now a simple case of attacking using my bonus action with the Net Emissar and then using my action to hide before ending my turn. The Shambling Mound is immune to piercing damage in honor mode, but I can get around this by taking advantage of the Net Emissar, which does all of its damage as force. And I've mentioned this before, but I'll go over it again just in case there's any new viewers to the series. At level 1, my hide is limited to only being used as an action, unlike at level 2 Rogue, where I could be using it as a bonus action instead. So, in order to take advantage of it, I need to put my Net Emissar in my offhand. This lets me attack with it using a bonus action, which then frees up my action to hide. Hopefully now that I've finished explaining this, the Shambling Mound is in shambles and I can move on to the next boss, which is located back in the Githyanki crash, as I forgot there's one more thing I have to do here, and that is to steal the Githyanki egg. For that, I'm going to swap on the Darkstalker's mantle, the Gloves of Archery, the Amulet of Harpers, Crusher's Ring, Risky Ring, the Club of Hill Giant Strength, and the Titan String Bow, both with the Drake Throat Glaive. I started off by attacking the warrior with an Arrow of Lightning in turn-based mode, but the only one who seems to care is the boss, who comes running to investigate, so I back off a little. But instead of coming to my last known location, they run out onto this rock, so I sneak back in and I'm going to use click heals before attacking Varsh Goku with an Arrow of Lightning. This surprises all of the Githyanki, and on my next turn I switch things up and hit Goku with an Arrow of Fire. Then I close the door behind me so they can't astral step into the hallway, and back off a little further down the hallway to try and draw them out. Goku comes to the door but ends their turn in it, blocking the path for the rest of the Githyanki. It was going to use a bit too much movement to shoot another arrow, so I instead opt to throw smoke powder bomb so that afterwards I have enough movement to put myself further down the hall and break line of sight. The rest of the Githyanki continue to move towards me, and Goku dashes before using Astral Step. This ends their turn in a good yet threatening positioning for me, but fortunately they're low enough by now that an Arrow of Acid finishes them off, and I back away just to be safe. The Githyanki warrior can't get close enough to try and detect me, so on my turn I can move in closer, hit them with an Arrow of Ice, which I was hoping to knock them prone with, but the crit will do nicely. And since the warrior is a Githyanki, I make sure to break line of sight while I retreat, just in case I have hold person. I'm pretty sure that this guy is a battle master, but it's better to be safe than sorry. My Arrow of Fire then crits on the warrior, leaving him low, so on their turn they just dash and then use Second Wind. and I can attack with an arrow of Ilmater before backing off again. And after the Githyanki Ranger, who's still back here for some reason, the warrior dies to the burning damage and called a weak. So for the Ranger, I can sneak my way back in, and I attack with an arrow of Ilmater in turn-based mode. But that doesn't put me in combat, so I toggle off turn-based mode quickly and attack the Ranger as they go down the ladder, which ends up killing them. I can now make my way over to the Githyanki egg and pick it up, before handing it over to Lady Esther. This will unlock the fight with Bataris in Act 3. I decided now would be a good time to free Wilburn and co from the Moonrise prison, as it needs to be done before the Shadowfell, and I have all the necessary items. And before I step down into the prison, I'm going to equip the Headband of Intellect, because when you first enter the prison from Moonrise Towers, the two patrolling scrying guys will end up in sync, and you'll be able to turn on turn-based mode at the right time to lock them in place, right next to each other. This combined with the Headband of Intellect and the Scroll of Shadow should be enough to take them both out at the same time. But of course, with my luck, one of them saves and is left with just 1 HP. This then causes the Warden to come running out to investigate and join the fight. So right now I'm already thinking, well, rip run. I tried jumping towards the back of the prison, but I know the Warden attacks from range, so this might not be enough. But luckily the Warden opts just to drink a potion of invisibility and do nothing else. So on my turn, I can just hide and move away to buy some time to think. The eye starts calling in reinforcements and I start to panic a little. I think I can throw a smoke powder bomb to take it out, but I can't throw one from where I'm at. So I have to jump up to the scaffolding around the central tower to get closer, and then end my next turn while I think over my next move. Two guards come running towards the eye, but since I'm in hide and out of their line of sight, they just look around for a bit. So I figure if I just wait it out, since they're not in the battle and not in turn-based mode, they should eventually walk away. And eventually, that's exactly what happens. Then, when they're far enough away, I toss in a smoke powder bomb which finishes off the scrying eye. I was trying to make sure the scrying eyes were never in combat with me, since there's a unique interaction in Act 3 if you do, but unfortunately that ship is now sailed. So instead, I'm just going to spend a few turns to back off so that I can flee combat, since the Warden is only temporarily hostile with me. Then, back at the prison, I wait for the Adept to patrol around to this point here, and if I lock them in place with turn-based mode and find the right angle, I can shove them down into the chasm below. Just be sure to hide somewhere for a bit after, as sometimes one of the guards or the Warden will come to investigate what happened. With no one coming, I make my way up the scaffolding to the upper floor of the central tower, and this time a Thunderchromatic Orb is easily able to dispatch the scrying guy in here. The last remaining guard I need to take care of is the Zealot over on the far right. First off, I'm going to jump up here and then summon in Scratch down below while I hide. The Zealot doesn't have a lot of dex, so I can disengage with Scratch, dash, and then enter turn-based mode and bite the Zealot. Then when combat starts, and with Scratch more than often outrolling the initiative, they are safe to run away from the Zealot and jump over to the scaffolding. The Zealot will then move towards the edge and use Abjure Enemy on Scratch. I don't know why it doesn't use its ranged attack option, but instead prefers to open with this every time in my experience. Back on Murder, I'm going to do a quick gear swap and swap on the Mighty Cloth and the Speedy Light Feet. Then I need to jump down on these stack boxes to not break my hide and sneak up behind the Zealot, who I can then shove down into the chasm with a 98% chance. And for the Warden, I'm going to need to drink an elixir of Hill Giant Strength. This will let me use improvised melee weapon on her to drag her out of her room and slam her down on the bridge. With the game still thinking we need to talk our way out of it, I tell it nah, let's attack, and then I'm free to shove her down into the chasm. With all the relevant guards and the Warden dead, I'm free to give Wolverine his hammer so that he can free his friends and the captured tieflings. And because Last Lighting is gone, I tell them just to stay out in the water so they turn up in Act 3 later. I decided it's now time to ambush the Githyanki ambush. For that, the key pieces of gear I'm going to need are the Marksmanship hat, the Sentinel shield, the net emitter on my offhand, the gloves of the balanced hand, and the boost of speed. To start the fight, I'm going to attack from this side with an arrow of acid, and it has to specifically be an arrow of acid, which I'll explain why in a bit. But I messed up with my gear, and so I forgot to have the boots of speed equipped, so I back off towards the House of Healing, while they're surprised, and on my next turn I swap on the boots of speed, drink a potion of speed, then dash so I can position myself in this spot here. Normally I should have just used click heals on each turn, but at least I'm able to fix it on the fly. It has to specifically be this spot also, since any further away will end combat, and being too close will mean that the Chutrai can astral step towards me and kill me with an Eldritch Blast. When the Githyanki have finished moving towards me, I'm going to step inside the House of Healing and close the doors behind me. Then, on my next turn, I move towards the elevator to take me up to the roof. Then I can dash, hide, and move out onto the roof. Since my lethargic turn is coming up, I'll quickly explain why the acid arrow. Sometimes when doing this, Sakayan can end up outside the fight depending on where they run, but putting acid on the floor means they won't ever return to their starting position, more often than not leaving them somewhere vulnerable to be attacked from the roof. In this particular fight, that didn't happen, but they still left themselves somewhere where I can attack them from the roof. So I'm going to move into position to attack while I patiently wait to have my action and bonus action available to do so. And yes, I don't have a bloody clue where this one Githyanki warrior is going. Maybe he forgot to pay Garangoth's toll fee to be allowed inside. When I'm in position, I attack Tiskayan from the roof and then hide and back away just to be safe, just in case they decide to astral step up to me. So now I feel safe to just attack with my bonus action and hide every turn. It took me a few turns to notice that I still didn't have the correct gear on, but eventually I did. So I spent a few turns, first equipping the caustic band for the extra damage, then the gloves of the balanced hands for even more damage, before finally taking off my sentinel shield to get rid of the disadvantage. Tiskayan was still out of range, which cancelled out the advantage from hide, but later on in the fight it will help. Tiskayan has to be the one that dies first, because their legendary action, Soul Sacrifice, will eventually let them use Vlaakith's Undying aspect, which not only makes them harder to kill, but powers up their Eldritch Blast significantly. This at least shouldn't be a concern for this strategy, but making them harder to kill would just drag the fight out unnecessarily. Funnily enough, until a few patches ago, the protection from the Shadow Curse that the Githyanki had didn't work as intended, and if you did this strategy, more often than not, Tiskaran's minions would just die to the Shadow Curse, and you could just wait them out. After Tiskaran is dead, I then move my sights to the Githyanki Ranger that was next to them and repeat the process, and it isn't long until they go down too, which presents me with a new puzzle to solve. How do I get the rest of the Githyanki in a position where I can attack them? So I run around on the roof for a few turns, waiting for them to come inside the House of Healing, with the Githyanki warrior finally having paid his fee to Garangoth so that he can run back to rejoin the fight. Once I'm happy that a few of them are inside, I hide on the roof and sneak my way into a position that I can attack them from. From here, I'm going to focus on the final ranger since they're the only one that poses a threat to me, since the two remaining warriors shouldn't be able to attack me at all. After the ranger is down, I spent a few turns repeating the same attack hide pattern on the warrior, but his Githyanki parry ability meant I wasn't getting anywhere fast, and it took me way longer than I care to admit, but eventually I got bored of this strategy not really going anywhere, so I backed off a bit and went out of hide so that they would move deeper into the House of Healing, and spent a few turns like this just to make sure I was safe from being attacked, and to wait for the other warrior to get close. Now that I know I'm safe from the warriors, I can instead attack once to waste their parry ability, then follow up with a second attack to actually hurt them. It did mean that they would run around like headless chickens a little bit, and I had to be sure not to let them get too close where they could probably jump up to me, but I soon found this little spot right here on the roof, where if I ended my turn here, they would just wait on top of this box for their tiny little Githyanki love taps from my hand crossbow. And it wasn't long after that the final Githyanki was dead. I was then free to jump down and loot their corpses, most importantly the Tiskarans for the Haraknir bracers. The bracers give me a cast of telekinesis per a short rest, which I'm going to use to grab the warden's corpse out of the chasm in the prison below Moonrise for their sweet loot. Then it's off to the goblin camp. Oh, and if you're wondering how I'm resetting certain skills without long resting, if you have the item you want to reset equipped, then teleport to anywhere in Act 1.5 before teleporting back. The game will act as if you've long rested and will let you use it again. This kind of bug was fixed recently, but it still works as long as you don't unequip the item. But to make sure I don't have to do that twice or waste a short rest, I'm gonna dash a bunch, enter turn-based mode, and then lift Minthara's body out. Then after I've looted it, I have enough movement to get to draw Ragnar's body, and I'm mostly just interested in the extra 2 Mind Flayer parasites here to power up Calderweek a bit more. Next up are the 2 form bosses, starting with Garangoth in the Toll House. The equipment I'll be using is the Fistbreaker Helm, the Graceful Cloth, the Gloves of Archery, the Boots of Speed, the Amulet of the Harpers, Crusher's Ring, Risky Ring, the Club of Hill Giant Strength, the Sentinel Shield, the Titan String Bow, and an Elixir of Vigilance. Before I start the fight though, I decided to pay the troll toll to get into that boy's hole. You gotta pay the
the troll toll. If you want to get into that boy's hole, you gotta pay the troll toll to get in.
Which earned me the signed trade visa. This gives me access to the spell Flesh to Gold, something I'm probably not going to use, but a fun little trophy nonetheless. Then it's time to actually fight Geringoth, who has a rather interesting battle mechanic. In the battle with Geringoth, there will be 6 visages that when killed subtract 100 HP from Geringoth's maximum HP. So my battle plan for this fight is to kite Geringoth and the visages out into the courtyard while trying to pick off the visages one by one. In the areas that it's too dark to get advantage on my shots, I'll be dropping down the moon lantern. This will let me get the additional sneak attack damage on my elemental arrows, which can be enough damage to kill the visages in one hit. While running out to the courtyard, some of the visages will go up on the roof of the toll house instead of following me. I'm not really sure why, but Baldur's Gate pathing is weird at the best of times. I can at least still shoot them though, even if I have to do so by clicking their avatar in the turn order rather than aiming at them directly. With 2 visages down, both of her coin whip attacks are disabled, so the only ranged attack available to her is the Jealous Avarice, which is an action, and Summon Coin Halberd, which is a bonus action. So as long as I can keep enough of a distance from her that she has to use that action to dash, I should be okay. And even though she's dashing every turn, the visages are able to move further than she does, so it isn't long before the ones that were behind her are closer to me and I'm able to get some damage off on them. And I also have to be careful not to kill more than one visage at once, as this will only remove 100 HP from Geringoth. My preferred route is to kite them towards the House of Healing, which is half the reason why I took out the Githyanki ambush earlier. But as Geringoth didn't get close enough, when I take out the visage on the stairs to the House of Healing, it ends the battle. Not much of a problem though, because I can just sneak my way back in and attack Geringoth to restart the fight. And this time, Geringoth doesn't follow. Instead, she opts to spend her turn summoning in coin halberds with the visages going up on the roof, which I'm free to attack it and kill it, leaving Geringoth now with only 7 HP. Since Geringoth didn't follow me, I'm free to just hide and sneak my way back into the toll house. And the icing on the cake is that the coin halberds she summons don't have a line of sight, so I'm free to just sneak past them without any worries. So when I get close enough, I can just drop the moon lantern to ensure I have advantage and finish off Geringoth. Now it's on to Geringoth's brother, Visibold form. Most of the equipment I'll be using is the same that I used against Geringoth. The only changes are that I'll be swapping on the gloves of the balanced hands and the net emissor of my offhand. To start the fight, I'm going to attack from hide out of line of sight. This earns me a surprise round, so on my next turn I can get off a bit more damage before then using dash and starting to back off. For the next handful of turns, my goal is going to be to get off any damage I can on Visibold using the net emissor, while dashing and backing off towards a path that's under the main entrance to Moonrise Tower. Visibold, despite his large size, can actually move pretty far every turn, especially when he's dashing, so I don't have to be as timid as normal on how far I move each time I dash. Now, I was just mentioning Visibold's size, and it's his huge model that I'm actually going to be taking advantage of, because when I get him down to this spot here, he's actually unable to take the route around the gap because of his big model. So all I have to do is attack with my net emissor and then hide every turn to stop the blighted patrons from coming any closer. My only regret is forgetting that killing Isabel means that it's a lot darker in Act 2, which is made even worse in the already dark areas. So I'm hoping that in editing, I've managed to make it bright enough for everyone to see what's going on without making it look too washed out. But that's a problem for editing me to figure out. Visibold has a lot of HP, so it can take a while to whittle him down, one attack at a time. But this strategy should be 100% consistent. In the many level 1 runs I've done of this game, I haven't seen it fail yet. And I'm hoping that editing me has figured out how to make this clip last this long, because I'm running out of things to say. Once Visibold is down, I can let his blighted patrons move in, and I'm going to spend a few turns swapping some gear around to better deal with them. So I'm going to swap on the Titan string bow and the gloves of archery. My goal to deal with them is a simple one. Drop lantern, make it bright, shoot bad zombie until they're dead, rinse and repeat. I can slowly kite them back towards the stairs that lead up to the toll house, and if it took long enough, I could kite them around in a giant circle. But they really don't have that much of a threat, and as long as I can keep my distance, it isn't long until they're all deader than dead. Now it's time to take a little detour back to the Grove in Act 1, and to teach Karga how to wild shape into a hedgehog. Next up is a date with Yurgir down in the Gauntlet of Shah. The equipment I'll be using is a Ring of Geniality and the silver pendant, but the fight with Yurgir is a bit problematic with his blinding ambush letting him attack me as I attack him. So instead, I'm just going to take the path of least resistance with this one and talk my way through it. Just be sure to cast guidance and have astral knowledge wisdom before walking into his ambush. This, along with all my other stacked buffs, should be enough to pass the insight check on his contract, and I'm easily able to pass all 3 persuasion checks afterwards. I wanted to fight the rat boss down below, and normally my strategy has been to throw an acoustic bulb here and then attack the rats from above to start the fight. But for whatever reason, the fight never actually starts and all the rats spawn in, but they don't do anything or start combat with me. I'm not sure if this was a bug with patch 8 at the time, but even after I kill all of the rats, the boss rat spawns in, but there's no dialogue and they die, but there's nothing on their corpse. Not sure what happened with this one, but he's only a mini boss and doesn't have any legendary actions. I have one more fight I want to take care of before going to the Shadowfell, and that is the Shadow Doggy ambush. To start this fight, I have to shoot all the torches in the area. This does mean that I don't have an action when the fight starts, but I don't need it anyway as I'll be going straight into Slayer form. The doggos will then surround me on my turn. I'm just going to tank the opportunity attack though and use my relentless lunge. I'm then able to take out the alpha shadow dog straight away and start to chip away at the rest. My Slayer attacks don't hit that hard on the rest of the shadow doggos and they're able to get me almost below half health, but there's no point in healing as the last one quickly falls. With all the bosses in Act 1 and 2 defeated, it's now finally time to enter the Shadowfell so I can take on Kefric, but not before letting Shadowheart do a little stabby for a mommy shot. And that is that for now. Part 7 is over. In the next episode, I'll be taking on Kefric form, the Apostle of Merkel, and more. So if you want to see that, then don't forget to subscribe, and if you're enjoying this series, drop a like, a comment, and a share to help me out in the YouTube algorithm. Until next time, I've been Can I Beat This, teaching you too how you can beat this, and I'll see you in the next episode.